The following program is a work of broadcast students from the British Columbia Institute of Technology. BCIT magazine features news stories from around the Lower Mainland over the past week. Responsibility for the content of the show rests completely with the students and their BCIT instructors.
Today on BCIT magazine.
The right to die debate continues at BC Supreme Court.
And civic politicians in Burnaby fight for the youth vote.
Finally, are First Nations municipal voting rights under siege?
Good afternoon and welcome to BCIT magazine. I'm Mitch Pollock.
And I'm Megan Roberts.
A 63-year-old woman suffering from Lou Gehrig's disease is going to BC Supreme Court for the right to die on her own terms. It's a controversial issue, but one group is making an extra effort to have their opinion heard. Gurv Bod has the details.
Demonstrators from the Euthanasia Prevention Coalition gathered outside BC Supreme Court to protest against the case of Carter versus Canada, which is seeking to legalize assisted suicide. Dr. Will Johnston, who is the chair of the EPC, says changing the laws could have disastrous effects.
We want Canadians to be aware that according to the wording of this court case, assisted suicide or euthanasia would be available even to someone who was not dying. A young person with HIV or with diabetes, one of my patients with congestive heart failure would qualify under what they're talking about.
John Coppert, a brain cancer patient, says the current laws protect Canadians.
And I'm worried that at several points in that journey, if I'd been given the legal option of taking my own life, I might have done it. I wouldn't be here today. I'm going all the way with this, okay? But I wouldn't be here today. I may not be here if it wasn't for, our law prohibiting assisted suicide. That law is there to protect people like me.
And so the people who have showed up today have a real concern that Canadians are only going to see one half of the story. And unless they get out and shiver on a cold Vancouver morning and you do your job of showing both sides of the story, that some bad public policy decisions are going to be made.
Canada's euthanasia and assisted suicide laws are being challenged for the first time since Sue Rodriguez attempted in 1993, and the EPC is hoping its efforts will help uphold the decisions reached in that case. Gurv Bod in Vancouver for BCIT magazine.
The last 3 Burnaby municipal elections have seen just 1/4 of eligible voters turn out to the polls. Voter apathy is especially strong among 20-somethings. As Mark Staling found out, local politicians are turning to social media to hook young voters.
It's municipal election time and voter turnout is always an issue. Numbers are very low in Burnaby, especially among young people, which raises the question why such apathy.
Honestly, I don't really put it on the top of my list of things to do. At the end of the day, whoever is chosen, I don't think it really is going to matter to me. I feel like it doesn't really affect me.
I just don't think students have a lot of issues that the city can really address.
I just think that no matter who you vote for, they're always going to say one thing, do the other thing. So really, with their campaigning, it really doesn't mean anything to me.
28-year-old Green Party candidate Matthew Stewart understands where they're coming from.
We are young people in general. Our average age of our candidates are much younger, so we're more familiar with the social media kind of, format and the way things work. So for us, it comes down to really trying to ask questions to people and engage the sort of people that we think are on social media, which are typically the younger demographic, for sure.
Team Burnaby's Jim Favero is a big believer in the power of social media.
So people have to get out, go to the media sources, go to the web sources, the social media, find out who the candidates are. And this is what we're encouraging people to do, is to get out there, find out who the candidates are, find out who the different political parties are, what their issues, what their platforms are, but get engaged in the process. As the Twitter generation, as the Facebook generation grows older, I think that will be the expected norm on how politicians engage with them. So we're really probably on the cusp of this, and I'll bet you by the next election 3 years from now, you're going to see a lot more social media content, more savvy candidates.
Hopefully the boom in technology will lead to a boom in young voters on November 19th. Mark Staling in Burnaby for BCIT magazine.
Meanwhile, a North Vancouver politician has touched a nerve, proposing that all people living on First Nations land lose their right to vote in municipal elections, a move which some are calling racist. Michael Popove has the story.
Lower Mainland residents head to the polls this weekend. And if a group of Vancouver politicians have their way, Natives and anyone living on reserve lands will be stripped of their right to vote in local elections. The Metro Vancouver Committee on Treaties is recommending the measure. Their reason? Anyone living on First Nation lands aren't paying taxes directly to the city in which they live.
Those non-member residents will have access to all of the amenities, all of the community attributes in West Vancouver, for example, that without paying directly for the access to those amenities, be it recreation centers, libraries, art galleries, museums, etc.
Squamish Nation Chief Gibby Jacobs says this is all about First Nations wanting to control what's happening on their land. He called the change racist, a change Alan Nixon denies.
I deny it vehemently. This has got nothing to do with racism. This has got everything to do with tax fairness and equity amongst the residents of a municipality.
But Squamish First Nation member Alexandria Barnes wasn't concerned about tax policy.
I was totally shocked. Is it like Native people don't count anymore? We were given a vote back just over 40 years ago, and they want to take it away?
The Metro Vancouver Committee on Treaties is recommending the change. It's in response to a Squamish Nation development plan that calls for up to 12,000 residential units to be located on the North Shore Reserve.
I find the whole matter totally confusing. We were not informed. I'm still just shocked.
A report released by the Metro Vancouver Committee on Treaties says what's at issue here is representation without taxation. It points out that if the Squamish Nation development here at Ambleside Beach is any indication, that the percentage of eligible voters living on reserve lands in West Vancouver could rise from 7.5% to over 30% in the next 30 years, a number high enough to put undue strain on local services that the municipality says it expects those who use to pay for.
Michael Popove on the North Shore for BCIT magazine.
A group of teenage caped crusaders are causing an internet uproar, exposing would-be sex offenders online. Gurv Bod joins us live with an update on the story.
Thanks, Megan. 3 Chilliwack teens have been luring men into public by posing as underage girls on chat rooms. Now, when the men show up in public, the boys, who are dressed as superheroes such as Batman, have the cameras rolling. Now, the boys then post their videos onto YouTube under the title "To Troll a Predator," where they've received over 1,000 views already.
Now, Gurv, vigilante justice is popular in the movies, but how are police looking into the matter?
Well, the boys have met with Chilliwack RCMP, and the police are saying that their first primary concern is the boys' safety. Now, no charges have been laid in either against the boys or the men who showed up, but the investigation is ongoing, and the police just wanted to say that they understand that the boys were trying to do the right thing, but they want to leave the crime fighting to the professionals.
Coming up next on BCIT Magazine.
Occupy Vancouver enters its second month.
And a police poster campaign looks to identify rioters.